Hello, everyone. I'm Christina. There's always somehow a glare out here. I am so glad to see everybody. I know it's been a minute, but sometimes I could do the hot button topics. They get a lot of views, but that's not really what my channel is about. I like to analyze how today's headlines are working with prophecy. See what I mean? So sometimes you just have to just let things play out for a while. And I want to say thank you. I've got one viewer and 2 thumbs up, so that's pretty cool already. Oh, wait, 3 viewers, 2 thumbs up. Great. Awesome. I'm so glad to see everybody. Please be sure to say hello if you can, if you're not driving. I don't want you texting if you're driving. Anyway, a lot's been going on, right? So it's really good to see how all of that is playing out. And we're going to start with, because I got this entire list here. Alrighty. Okay. I wanted to start with Earth Changes channel. He has this other channel, Deep Impact, and I get a chance to look at his channel so often. And he was talking about how there's a fault line that goes from the Gulf of Mexico right through Galveston up to the top part of Louisiana, which made the Shreveport area earthquakes make a lot more sense, because even though I can't find that fault line, there's been plenty of fault lines that I knew were there, but every time I try to look them up, I can't find information on them. So the issue with that is that if he's right, and he probably is, then that not only indicates why Louisiana we having problems. Hello, Anne. Hello, Watchman. Hello, Doc Airline. I'm very glad to see all of you here. Thank you so much for coming. Always so happy to see you. Right? Because it's the last days. We have to really appreciate each other as much as possible right now. And I'm pretty tired. I've had a long day. I've got a roof to fix in the morning on my food trailer. Found out there was a little leak. Not a big deal. Got the stuff all ready to fix it. But I really missed you guys, and we got to have our fun. We got to talk, right? Okay. So we got these earthquakes. Okay. And then connected to earthquakes, I know that in the past I just said flippantly and nonchalantly, almost briefly, that I was worried about railroads, and it was connected to because I knew that the earth was shifting, so there would be issues. And sure enough, a rail overpass collapses in Mexico City, which you might think is, oh, maybe they just don't know how to do their job, or it's a third world country. No. They've been suffering a lot of earthquakes. And so that compromised the infrastructure, which is interesting because we got Biden pushing for this infrastructure deal. But we all know that a great shaking is coming, a great earthquake, something that is going to even divide our country in half. So whatever infrastructure work that they're working on right now isn't going to work out. It's going to end up being a waste of money or money laundering, because it's not going to work out. Okay, and we've got all these shortages happening at the same time. Chlorine shortage being one of them. So everyone who has a pool, right, especially down here in the South, we all got a friend that has a pool, so we can go shake off that heat, right? Well, maybe not this year with everybody, because chlorine's not going to be there to clean your pool unless you've got some alternative methods I don't know about. Okay. Ready. Hello, Mark Rufiner. I have a pile of chicken poop building up as we speak. Awesome. Very good. Watchman Jimmy Hoffa, everything moves by truck sooner or later. They actually had something. I actually just watched today, Watchman, that they have a couple of new places that they're looking for Jimmy Hoffa's body. One in Georgia and one in some other place. But it was the one in Georgia's on a golf cart. So that's like 3 times I've heard Jimmy Hoffa's name today. It's so weird. Okay, so everybody's still saying hello. That's good stuff. Okay. All right. Now, one of the things, I mean, we got a lot of stuff I'm going to talk about. We'll kind of briefly go over some, and then we'll, kind of go more in depth with other things. But one of the things that I wanted to just kind of touch on is the issue with rapture. Am I arguing the timing or if it's going to happen? Absolutely not. What I'm going to just place in your mind, the seed, if you will, is that while we're here, we're going to occupy, right? And I wanted to bring to mind the story in the Bible of the men that there's 3 men in the Bible that were given a certain amount of talents by their master, right? And the master left for a little while. And when he came back, he wanted to see how all 3 of these men had used the talent that he had given them. One of them buried his talent, but the other 2, they were able to double their earnings for their master. So what I'm saying is, while we're waiting for rapture, for those of you who might think, okay, well, don't you think we'll be raptured by the time anything bad happens? Well, maybe not. But I think we should, in the terms of, what have we done with our talent? What have we done in the meantime with the gifts God gave us? While we're here, we've got work to do up until the very second we leave. And I just wanted to put that out there, because we're not judged for our works, not just works, because our works have to do with what we did with our lives, right? Because when they talk about the bride in the last chapter of Revelation, it talks about her dress and that it was made up of, I guess, gems from all of her righteous acts, right? So works might not get you in heaven, but you will at some point be judged on what you've done. So let's not be complacent, okay? We do have work to do. And speaking of, the enemy's always working, right? He especially right now, because he knows that he has a short time. So there's certain things that we always have to keep an eye on. And one of those things is Israel, right? Now, we were told, news-wise, that Biden didn't want to really get into this whole Israel peace thing, which turned out not to be true at all. And when you look back, you realize that when Obama was doing that refusal to veto certain things during the Paris Accord, that Biden was his right-hand man. And so Biden is sort of bringing back around the continuance of what was happening back then. Trump was kind of an interruption of things, but there are certain things that are inevitable, right? And when you start looking, you find out that, Biden is totally supporting the 2-state solution, and that Netanyahu, knowing that maybe his constituents might not agree, has been participating in secret meetings behind closed doors. And I told y'all that in previous videos. A lot of y'all may not have been here, but it is there. I said there will be secret meetings before any of this even happened, okay? And it is happening. So I think that part of the Palestinian deal is that they already liked Biden. There are pictures of him. But if they really hated Trump, they might really jump for this deal. And I think they're even a little bit weary of all the fighting themselves to a degree. So if there's a chance, because I was always taught that peace in the Middle East wouldn't be possible, but at some point it would be declared, and then everything would go just crazy. Like it's not already starting to already, right? Works are proof of faith, right? I mean, it's like Watchmen. It's like, okay, if you think works are going to get you in heaven, no, they're not. But if you are a believer of God, then you've got work to do, and God speaks to your heart and to the purpose that He originally planned for your life. And so, yes, you will have work to do. So I think there's a difference there. Yes, you will have work to do. Okay, and you'll know it. You'll know it. There's just certain things we knew when we were born. And even if we don't remember it, we feel it. All right. And God guides our paths. And that's where we trust Him, Okay. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to get off topic. So and when you think about the 2-state solution, we know that we're going to get our land divided. And I was wondering last time we did a YouTube video that, because I hadn't caught the Israel thing. Maybe it was a time before that, but I hadn't caught it. I hadn't heard anything yet. And I was like, why are the earthquakes starting to happen? Like the land is getting ready to divide, but I haven't heard anything. Oh no, there are things going on. That pressure is definitely building. All right. But let's take a look. Okay. So Biden apparently has restored aid to the Palestinians. So it's wetting their whistle. And Biden endorses the two-state solution. That's April 8th. Okay. What we can do is do something, let's say, in the past. Yep. Okay. 2 days ago, New York, Arab News, renewed support from Washington boosts hopes for a two-state solution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict in which Israel lives in peace and security. Ta-da! When peace and security is declared, we all know Thessalonians, right? Yeah, destruction comes, sudden destruction. So, I mean, it's not like there's no warning to the earthquakes if you know what you're looking at. You know what I mean? Okay, and what is this one? Biden still hasn't picked an ambassador to Israel. That's okay. All right, Biden supports Jordan's king, affirming two-state solution. All right, so there is work behind the scenes on this. So it was like I thought it would be. There are things going on behind closed doors. And I'm betting that the situation of Earth right now, as far as the climate and the economics, the problems that we're having, the banks, remember a few months ago, I was saying, hey, watch your bank account. Okay, watch that. And I told y'all a couple of years before, hey, famine's coming, shortages will come, and the shipments will stop coming. You need to garden. And a lot of people wrote me off. They were like, because everything looked so good back then. Oh, everything looks fine. I said, but see, that's my gig. That's the gig God gave me, is that I always tell you when everything looks just fine. Everything looks so good that you could never imagine in a million years that what I'm telling you is about to happen. But it does. That's how things go with me. I'm used to people going, oh no, Christina, that's not going to happen. No, watch. Here we go. There are so many things starting to happen now that I talked about with y'all so many years ago. And I only started like 6 years ago. Okay. I'm just talking. I'm letting y'all know. We'll talk about some of these things. Okay. All right. So with all these shortages going on, which is part of the economic decline, the one of the horsemen of the apocalypse, the economic issues, Dabu 77 reported hours ago that thousands of Ford trucks are sitting waiting for chips. So we've got all these vehicles, and unless they figure out how to, make it work somehow, that's where that stock is going to stay and rot. But that's a sign of all of the shortages, all of the backups, all of the parts of the economy that are slowly dying that will rot with those trucks. If we can't get super resourceful, but it's not going to matter how resourceful we get, is because the whole is breaking down. Everything I talked about with y'all before, it's happening now. This is it. And there's going to be a point where, and it looks like the next step in that economic crumble is happening now. I went ahead and went to the grocery store and got that bulk meat, got that bulk rice, re-uploaded, my pasta. I'm looking at things, repairs I might need in the future, like light bulbs, just little things, just to get ready. Just like I did last summer with that Mr. Buddy heater. You've got that. We've got to be ready for the next step in the economic crumble. All right. All right. As a word of encouragement for the day, because I'm always trying to improve myself since I'm not so great at encouragement, but I just want y'all to know that don't worry too much, because we're going to make history. Because, get this, we already made prophecy. So get ready to step into what we really are. And I know that a lot of people talk about rapture, and I know that I kind of come off with a different message about those of us who are a part of the army of light, the messengers, the soldiers, the witnesses, the healers, okay? Because this whole Left Behind scenario was a little bit wrong. Some of us were born to be here. Some of us are going to be here. We're here for the fight. We're here. Now, I'm personally here for the apocalypse, as far as I know, the last days, okay? But there's so many people you just don't know that are born for right now. And this whole Left Behind thing, it doesn't make sense in a way that we're condemned. We were sent here, okay? And again, I'm not one of the soldiers. I'm one of those ahead of time people. But we all have a purpose. Things are getting ready to happen. Don't you understand? So I'm just letting you know, we already made prophecy. Get ready to make history. Put on your armor, your whole armor, get excited. God's got plenty of time. We'll never be able to outbank him on the food unless he allows it. Now, God can send us manna from heaven. He can multiply fish and bread. He can make it so that we're not even hungry or lose a single pound. You understand? We're fine. We're fine. We're just fine. Okay? All right, we're going to move on. Okay, now that I got past the good news, the encouragement, we're going to get back to the dark warnings that prophecy has talked about that is coming through the news right now. And that is, to start with, Glenn Beck warns today or yesterday that Bank of America is warning that hyperinflation will be felt at the very least. That's hyperinflation at the least. And like a week later, they were like, which is now, they're like, y'all better get ready for some craziness, basically is what they're saying. You can check out Glenn Beck's video on your own. And that was interesting because there's this guy, right, named John Paul Jackson. Some people might be familiar with him. I will make sure that I put his video up that I'm referring to in the description box when we're done. But he had plenty of visions back in 2012, right? And what's interesting to me is that he had said that he'd seen him as newspaper headlines, and I'd actually had a vision in the last couple of years that had a newspaper with a big, bold, black headline letters on it. Just, it happened once, but I'd actually seen that. So I was interested. And it turned out that a lot of the headlines he's seen were things that I'd already been talking about on this channel for a few years, saying that they were coming. So I thought that we'd be able to go over several of those, not all of them, because that might not be fair to him, but that's why I'm putting up the link. Okay. But just really the ones that are relevant to what's happening right now. Okay. Now, since we just mentioned that Glenn Beck warns that the Bank of America about that hyperinflation thing, his first headline that he spoke of was Bank of America said that too big to fail would fail, and there would be a push to nationalize Bank of America, and it would change the entire banking system. This happens because there are a lot of prior bank failures. And what I talked about on my channel some months ago, that banks were quietly closing everywhere, and it just continued. The second thing he mentioned was, is the infrastructure beyond repair? What does that remind you of? Biden's infrastructure plan. Again, we're getting ready for a big shaking, and we're already kind of shaking. Things are breaking down in the United States, not just because they're old, but because we're in a magnetic pole reversal that's causing these volcanoes and these earthquakes to go off. So trying to repair the infrastructure before the big shake is kind of counterproductive and a waste of money, right? But that's this guy's second headline is the infrastructure beyond repair? But what he says is they don't have the money to do maintenance anymore, which is probably why they're jacking up everyone's taxes. It's really close to what he spent in a, what's it called, that stimulus check. It's like he wants that money back immediately, okay, for the infrastructure that's going to break down no matter what. The fifth thing that he said was there was a newspaper article called The Great Divide. And yes, I'm skipping through. That means that if you want to watch the video, I would totally recommend you do. The Great Divide, the new normal on the Mississippi River after an earthquake. Can't go all the way up the Mississippi River anymore. And I've been talking about there's going to be a division in the U.S. because of dividing Israel and Jerusalem. He's saying that he feels this is for 2021, which could be. Washington, D.C. riots continue. That was headline number 6. In my previous videos, I talked about how I saw the Senate, Washington, D.C. Senate building on fire. You can look back on that. Number 8, maybe something had happened in the Gulf of Mexico or on one of the coasts. But he said Gulf of Mexico first. I also have videos, very beginning, about a disaster I was going to see in Texas and the Gulf of Mexico due to plate tectonic shifts. All right, I'm going to check the chat right now. Nicole, make sure, because I just went through this Texas blizzard, that it didn't matter what preps I had. If I didn't have water, it was pretty bad. Make sure your water is there. And again, you can't brush your teeth if you don't have water either. So one thing I realized that I hadn't before is to get mouthwash. Okay, be sure you have that. Okay, Clarissa, so good to see you, and Nicole, very glad to see you both. I think I was born for right now. Cheated death a few times, dreams, strange things. Yes, I know exactly what you mean, Clarissa. I really do. I do. Okay, there are things that just prepared you for now, isn't there? No mistaking it. Clarissa says reusable wipes, Charlie bandana products, basically anything. Okay, another thing that I would recommend is going to the fish stores. They got these little pebbles for aquariums, but it helps in, like, when you're trying to, I lose my words sometimes, filter water. You got your sand, you got this pebbles, and you got your grass, those little pebbles from the fish store, they actually help with that, if you can figure out what I'm talking about. I'm working on my water supply now. I had to let it go during the winter storm, so I'm trying to build that back up. I had a dream years ago where an asteroid hitting off the California coast. I really do think all 3 of our coasts are in trouble, Clarissa. Hi, Critter68. I'm so glad that you're here. I'm so glad to see everybody. I'm always so glad to see everybody. Watchman says fishing tackle is good to have. Also, little propane bottles. Any personal stove. There are different ways to even make your stoves, your own stoves. That's really good. Also, cilantro, because a lot of our rivers, waterways are getting poisoned, and in the future there's going to be heavy metal poison issues. Our water's going to become bitter, and you really need to stock up on those cilantro, or what do they call them? I don't know what the other word is. I don't use it that often. Coriander and cilantro seed are the same thing. But if you plant, like, say, a band of them across a river, in those little floaty deals, and you can keep them in your yard, it actually takes the heavy metal out of the water. It can help a lot. You can have, like, little floaties up the river, lines of them as the river goes up, and in your own garden, your water filtration system. Hi, Tammy, girl. So good to see you. Hello, Keith. How to make a filter out of plastic buckets. Right. And there's these people called Primitive Living. They made it out of, like, red sand and some clay they found and some grass. They smushed it all together and made little bricks and got some pine sap and sealed the whole thing. Learn those skills. Start talking to your grandmas and your great grandmas and your great grandpas. Be like, I know it was jerk in the 1980s, but I need to ask you some questions. Start going to those antique stores and getting some of them washboards they had already. You know what I'm saying? Learn how to make your own soap with wood ash. A live straw filter will last you for a little while. It'll give you enough time to filter and boil, because even though you filter the water, you still have to boil it. You see what I mean? But that'll give you enough time to search out for that water and get your supply. Little water filter packs in camping section. That's right. Activated charcoal. Absolutely. Absolutely. Charlie Banana products. And see, you got to think about, since everything is, the supply chain is breaking down right now. Things I was talking about a few years ago when everybody's like, oh no, Christina, you're just being sensitive. I've heard that my whole life. I know what God tells me. And I'm so used to saying, oh, Christina, you're just being sensitive. No, I'm not. I just remember I told you that's when things are coming together right now. So there's a lot going on. Okay, let's move on to more of what this guy said, because it was pretty interesting. We talked about the DC Senate buildings, where's the Navy, something just happened in the Gulf of Mexico. But I've also been saying, now I even mentioned that we were in a magnetic pole reversal while everybody was screaming Maunder minimum. I said, no, it's bigger than that. We're in a magnetic pole reversal. And everybody was so hateful towards me because I wasn't the known expert, right? Like, I'm stupid. I was like, no, we're in a magnetic pole reversal. Okay, sure enough, we are. And a magnetic pole reversal is going to mess with your GPS. It's going to mess with your grid, right? But his 10th headline was GPS loses its GPS. Now, I know this sounds bad for modern day things per se, but when we're fighting in the war, if their GPS and tracking systems are messed up, okay, bird in the baguette. If y'all know what I'm talking about, the bird in the baguette story. Yep. Whatever y'all need to get now, get it now. Okay. Make sure that you get things that you might need repairs. I've got like PVC pipe. I've got certain things, like duct tape, super glue. Super glue and duct tape can do a lot. All right. So people in the South know what I'm talking about. Okay, and they are also talking about toilet paper. We might have a problem with that again very, very soon. Okay, next headline. Oh, and this was interesting because a few months ago I said that this is the one newspaper headline that I was telling y'all that I'd seen, and it was an actual newspaper in my vision, and it said, John Travolta dies in a plane crash piloting his own plane. And his vision here is, the 11th headline is 3 planes down from solar tsunami, other planes missing. And this is about headlines that he'd seen in his visions, newspaper headlines. And one of them is 3 planes down from solar tsunami, others missing. And that does mess with your electrical grid. And what have we also been talking about is planes that have been crashing lately. Okay. Okay, have a wonderful day, A. Strumming. I'm so glad that you were able to stop by, sweetie. Mwah. I'm not doing as the Romans and not passing the sponge. There you go, Clarissa. Okay, right now we got a volcano near Japan that was just having issues. That was one of his headlines. But this one was scary, okay, because he says, the headline is here, volcano erupts near Tokyo, 7 million dead, another million missing. Said it was worse than Mount St. Helens, which was another vision I'd had, that it's also on my YouTube page, that I'd seen that something was wrong with Mount St. Helens and that whole area of mountains and volcanoes before anybody started reporting on it. I mean, right beforehand. So for him to even say that, worse than Mount St. Helens, that was interesting to me. The next headline that caught my eye was number 16, severe cuts in number of soldiers. And to me, it's either because there was a large death rate or because they haven't got the funding to pay the soldiers. The next one was number 18, ocean temperature rise spreading. So we've seen all of these whales dying, fish dying, stingrays, dolphins, you name it, things we've never seen before have been coming up dead from the bottom of the ocean, and a lot of it has been cooked. And I kept telling y'all, it's a magnetic pole reversal. The core is heating up, and it's causing the ocean floor. That's why we were seeing bleaching of the coral. It wasn't the tourists that were scuba diving. They're actually the most careful people, but it was going to cook the animals that were closest to the bottom. And that's what it's been doing. But here his headline is, and he saw this in 2012, that ocean temperature rises were spreading. So I decided that we would take a look at the mass animal fish death list that's recent. I mean, it's been going on for years. They don't have everyone, but here we go. All right, April 29th, thousands of dead fish floating in Lake Maninjau, Indonesia. Same day, tons of dead fish wash up in a lake in Lebanon. Same day, thousands of dead fish wash up on coast in New Zealand. The 24th, 4,000 hens to be killed due to avian flu in Bulgaria. The 23rd, thousands of dead fish wash up in a lagoon in Dominican Republic. Today, the 22nd, thousands of dead fish wash up on the shores of Florida. 2 days before, hundreds of dead seabirds wash up along the coast of the Netherlands. Now, there was this one I saw a little ways down. Here it is, March 24th. Millions of dead jellyfish washing up. Massive increase around the world. This is the only time I've ever seen where it wasn't Saudi Arabia or New Zealand or South Africa or somewhere. It says around the world. So when you want to talk about this headline that says ocean temperature rise is spreading, there you go. Well, this light's just kind of in my eyes. Okay, but it's in y'all's, right? You feel better? Okay. It probably was in Washington, Mark, because you've got magma infill with Mount St. Helens all the way down to California. They're having steam events and everything. And to be honest with you, because I'm around the Houston area, we're above water, so the earthquakes don't register. But I'm telling you, we've been feeling tremors here. We have been. I'm not kidding you. We're getting the ringing in the ears too. And I personally have not just gotten the ringing, the tones lately, a lot lately, but I'm getting this elevator feeling, like I've got these sea legs all of a sudden. I would know that because I'm a coastal child. I know what it's like to be on the boat or on a ship. I know what that feels like, and it's like that. It's a combination of being on an elevator, dropping all of a sudden, and also being on a ship, where something's moving underneath you. So I'm just letting y'all know, it may not be showing up on USGS, but something is happening under Houston. I'm not kidding you. I had a dream. There were earthquakes and volcanic eruptions happening all around the Pacific, and Mauna Loa on the Big Island became a huge water-filled caldera. I believe that. And the Bible talks about how islands will flee away, right? And people are also having visions. They've had them about water washing out of the Great Lakes in Michigan. And I'm pretty sure that prophecy has told us that the water is going to come out of its basins and that the seas and the waves will be roaring. So I absolutely believe you, Clarissa. Mount Rainier is really heating up, especially on the northwest corner. And yeah, absolutely. And a lot of times these volcanoes are known to be right on a fault line, and they're right next to the Cascadia fault line. Absolutely. And people didn't know until I reported a few years ago. I mean, it was normal for us to know. But the rest of the world apparently didn't know that there were volcanoes in the Gulf of Mexico. I'm like, of course there are. Oh, she might be trying to just get attention. Well, they found out that wasn't the case. There really are volcanoes in the Gulf of Mexico. Why? Because there are faults and tectonics there too. Okay? It's true. Okay? Let's see what is next. Now, this guy again, I'm totally going to put his link up. John Paul Jackson. Record number of cities with curfews, martial law to be extended in several cities for 30 more days. So it's going to be like the original lockdown is basically what I'm seeing. When they first locked us down, they said, oh, it'll just be a couple of weeks. And I think they're going to play that too, is what he's saying, that, oh, they're just going to say it's going to be for 30 days. But then in certain cities, in several cities that they locked down, like, oh, it'll be for 30 more. It'll be that kind of thing. Just like with the Hardy toll roads around Houston, they said, oh, we're just going to keep these toll roads up until we've paid for the cost of building these things. And we're going to take the toll roads down. Well, they lied. They never took them down. They raised the prices. They make hand over fist money out of those toll roads. Okay. Why do you think the invasion will happen then, Tammy? That's very interesting. That's very interesting. I always love to hear from you guys. Okay, now the next interesting headline he saw was number 19, blight in grains spreading. And he was saying that more than one type of grain would be affected. And today, IH Farmer reports today about the loss in grains that was underreported. He came out with this today. Check it out. He even talked about extended medical martial law on agriculture and cyber attacks on money and supply chains and grid outages. Okay, which is a lot of what I was talking about way before now. Okay, but he's talking about this is something that is current in the news right now. Okay, so we're going to skip down to number 22. It says, does God play softball? Hail the size of softballs destroy thousands of homes and autos, which has happened in North Texas a couple times, that hail. This is recent. And this guy's doing the prophecies for 2021. Okay, number 23, the new North Pole is found in North Russia. We know that we're in a magnetic pole reversal and that that magnetic north is moving and it's even split. This guy, before even anybody realized that we were going to have one, he's saying the new North Pole is going to be found in Russia. That's pretty interesting. Okay. Number 24, cyber attack cripples the grid. What was I just telling you? That even Ice Age is reporting about cyber attacks on money and supply chains and grid outages. Okay. And then you kind of look up things that are going on for a day, and Scripps Hospital got attacked recently. There are patients that can't even, that their whole grid is messed up because they were cyber attacked. So it's happening on every level, even with our national security levels every day. Okay. Just gonna check the live stream. Oh, okay. Well, that's very interesting because the date's 666. Okay. Thank you for sharing that. Clarissa says the Mid-Continental Rift Valley of North America runs right through Michigan, Iowa. You're always so smart, Clarissa. You're absolutely right. And I think that has something to do, but I think that Mid-Continental Rift, I'm just going to wait until I comment on that again, but that would totally explain, and it always kind of has, why the water has been seen in visions to come up out of Lake Michigan and tsunami the places around it. We invaded Normandy on June 6th. It would be ironic. Tammy. Clarissa says those can't kill with the man-made virus or the vat. They will starve. Yeah, they're going to get us every which way they can. They're breaking down our system on purpose. It's completely obvious. If you can get a ham radio, I completely agree with you, Nicole. And I've been advocating, get it while you can. If you can find to get it. And if you can, also get gas masks, those real black ones, with the things and the eyes, get those. Okay. Send me a few of them if you got the extra cash. On a phone that you can just plug into a phone jack. Yeah. You're going to have to start thinking in terms of tracking, right? Because for certain things about 10, 15 years ago, it seemed so really innocent, but now they're invading even vegetables so they can track what field it came from and exactly how many hands and how everything happened. This tracking's getting out of control. We're going to have to go for those 1965, vehicles and trucks. We need to buy them up, restore them if we can, whatever, buy them up. They don't have computer systems in them like they do now. You know what I'm saying? We need to go back, get you some batteries, think about your Carrington event boxes. We will have solar storms and we will have EMPs, Carrington event type things. So you need to be prepared for those things. Oh, there's another one, May 14th. My breakers always pop when there's some kind of magnetic wave coming through. What is it called? Those solar emissions that come through. Every time my breakers will start popping just for the time they're coming through. And they'll say, like, for example, they're coming in on May 4th. But I start getting my breaker tripping on May 3rd. It's always the day before I'll get mine. Okay, I'm talking about cars. Even used cars are going up in value for trade-in, because again, they've got all these thousands of new cars that are waiting just on chips. They can't sell them. They can't complete the vehicles. That's the only part they're missing. So with the shortage of vehicles, of computer chips, even your computers, watch your refrigerators, they've got this thing going on. You will have to pay more for your vehicles, and they'll pay more for your used car. And it sounds good for now, but everything is going up with it. Okay, my aunt sold one today, 1981, told her that's why they wanted it. She said someone would kill them for it anyway, and that's true. The narcissist will be unchecked. We're going to have to be prepared to defend ourselves. We are part of the Army of Light, You understand? I mean, of course, remember that part in The Patriot where he said, he prayed a prayer. He said, Lord, make my mark accurate. If he wants us to go, we go. But while we stay, and we ask him what he needs. And some of us will have to be soldiers. Some of us are going to have to run. Some of us are going to have to hide. And some of us are going to have to fight. I'm just saying that ahead of time. Suspicious Observers, I've been familiar with that channel. Book called Lights Out, very helpful. K-King, Chinese rocket parts. We really need, okay, there's this thing we got going on in the South, even with these shortages, okay? We know how to take just these off-the-wall items and make it work, okay? Where do you think patchwork quilts came in? Because there was a bunch of clothes nobody fit and wanted to wear anymore, and we decided to make blankets and quilts out of it for the winter. You can figure things out, all right? What do I always say? What is it? Necessity is the mother of all invention. Okay, 300-watt solar panel setup and a couple batteries, you can run your generator. You just have to watch out for that softball size hail, right? Okay, I wanted to go on with this list super fast. Okay, the number 21 said if missiles hit Jerusalem, that there's a warning that Mecca will be hit in minutes. So there's going to be some kind of Middle East conflict where they want to bomb Jerusalem, but they're saying we will bomb Mecca if you even try it. That's coming up in the future. Number 31, demand for classic seeds skyrocket. Not your GMO seeds, not any kind of seeds. So I'm saying if you get a bell pepper, save those seeds. If you get a strawberry, save those seeds, plant them, okay? Because they may say the demand's going up for seeds, but that means there's a shortage of them, okay? Get them now, especially for your growing zone. And don't forget to account for the changes that have been going on, right? Like we had a Texas blizzard here. So I might be okay with getting seeds for what might be okay to grow in Indiana now for my winter seeds. Start thinking about how your weather. Did you know that's expensive spice saffron is a flower that grows in the snow? Yeah, people be like, oh, there's just flowers growing in your. No, that's expensive spice saffron. Check it out. All right. Oh, yes. And this was something, number 32 was something somebody told me a long time ago. It said, watch the derivatives. And when you see the derivatives, something happening to that, then you know it's serious. This guy's headline that he saw, number 31, was demand for number 32, derivative panic hit global markets. Number 33, food prices lead nations escalating inflation woes. All right. Do you have any idea how hard it is going to be to get food soon? Don't you get it? That's right. Everything I've been talking about, even the shipment stopping. And, apparently China bought up all of our crops. Okay. I hope that you're not letting certain things that look good in your grocery stores fool you. Get your staples now. The staples are about to hit us hard. Okay. Sugar, salt, you name it. It's about to hit. Okay, forget buying meat. You better learn to eat beans or catch some squirrels. You know what I mean? Okay. Cisco and Kraft considers guards on delivery trucks. All right. And you need to think there are actual physical signs on Earth that we knew even before this modern day came along, was that there would be snow in the desert. And we've been seeing it in Arizona, Texas, Saudi Arabia, and the Sahara in Africa. Okay. But we've got drought. They said there'd be droughts and floods and famines and this and that. So yeah, we got the drought in California, but we also got the floods on the other side of the United States, Arkansas, Alabama, parts of Houston. We just had a rainstorm the other day, and guess what? Houston was already flooding. It was just rain. It wasn't even a bad storm, but they were flooding. Okay. And we got the mass animal fish deaths. All right. And then you think about how I've been letting y'all know, hey, the fifth seal should be next. I told y'all that some months back. Well, we had a 71-year-old pastor arrested in London after citing biblical marriage definition violation on freedom of religion 7 days ago. So he was arrested for preaching the word of God, and they beat him up. He wasn't even charged with any crime. They just sat him in jail long enough so that it would be too late for him to do any more sermon work. You know what I mean? Just long enough to where the day'd be over and nobody's going to church. They didn't even charge him. They just held him there. The Bible had said, yeah, some of you will go to prison. But it said rejoice over that. It said, don't be dismayed. That's part of your honor. That's part of your crown when you get home, that you should rejoice, because we knew this stuff was coming. Yes, I'm going to be looking at Mike from around the world tonight too. And it's probably another hour or two before he comes on, but I do like to hear what he has to say. $21.99 for 3-pound ground chuck. Wow. Right? Exactly. And I already told my kids I'm buying in bulk from now on. I'm buying in bulk. There isn't going to be any more of this. Oh, it's going to be bulk. Break it down into different sandwich bags, throw it in the freezer. K King look on fear, no man channel daily. Okay, that looks like a personal comment. Okay. All right, so going back to the fifth seal happenings and, the rise in persecution and fifth seal martyrs, because that's really what the fifth seal is about, is martyrs, but it naturally implies persecution and people going to jail, which the Bible does talk about that, all right? On February 17th, an Edmonton pastor was arrested for overcrowded sermons. Early March, a large amount of pastors were arrested at Passover. They took the details of the congregation too, okay? Many places of worship were shut down for Passover. Finland, almost 3 weeks ago, health restrictions. They'd been gathering outside. Police showed up, said that even family members that came together needed to sit 6 feet apart, which is ridiculous. Took 2 pastors in separate police cars for questioning. Yep, they sat in a cell for almost 5 hours. All right, and I did do a video a few years back called One Day You Won't Be Able to Go to Church. All right, and the last thing that we're about to hit on, and we've already kind of touched on it, is to make sure that you have water. When I had that Texas blizzard, I had all of these preps, and I didn't expect for the water supply I had to freeze up. Now, probably, I've learned some things from that, but it did clarify for me that it doesn't matter what you got if you ain't got water to clean, to make food with, and to drink. And a lot of you might be around salt water, so you need to learn how to distill that water into fresh water, learn that to filter, start getting those things together, and I'm also advocating, if you've got property like is around here, there's a lot of trees and grasses and weeds growing. You can start a covert food garden. All right. If you've got building space, do what you can, but you can't leave this up to chance anymore. All right. And again, it's wonderful. My garden is really starting to bloom. I've got carrots, I've got potatoes, sweet potatoes, strawberries growing. It's wonderful, and it gives its own seeds up too in the end. I'm working on the bell pepper, I've got the tomato. It's awesome. And peas and herbs to cook with, so I don't just have food, I have something to spice it up a little bit with, okay? I want y'all to think about this. This might be our last days to get what final preparations we need together. And it really does look like that, because I know how I've seen things. On my water preps pros, thank God for good neighbors. You've got to think about alternative heating sources and all that. Okay. Kicking the rent moratorium is wait for the point max exodus. Okay. All right. Looks like we're doing good. I want to thank everybody that showed up today, and I ask you that you share my videos if you're thinking it's a good idea. And I'm so glad to see all of you again. I'm sorry it takes so long lately. It's just sometimes I have to wait for God to send me that word, but I was so happy to see absolutely every single one of you, and I will talk to you again super soon. Bye, y'all.